Jetzt als Exklusivedition mit dem Expansion Set, 4 Postern und...
Hey there, Nukkanites! This is Ranshin here, bringing you a StarCraft commentary in the OSL! Fill in for Nuke because he's lazy and he has nothing better to do than to sit around and stare at his toes all day. So he thought, hey Ranshin, I need help. I don't have any time to stare at my toes, so I need you to come fill in. So I thought, hey, that's okay. Who's playing? He said, Fantasy and Cal, and I said I was there. So I'm here. This is, of course... well, pretty much a worthless matchup because Free and Stork have already gotten through this group, and Fantasy and Cal are on the failing block. So this is basically which one of them comes out of there, which one leaves the group 0-3 and which one leaves the group 1-2, which one leaves the group wanting to die, and which one leaves the group feeling kind of okay about himself. And I don't get the countdown video to sync because the OSL is gay. Simple as that. Well, the MSL leaves that to me, so which means it's not gay. Let's do this thing that nukes do. Accept. Something like that. Went sept, right? When there's a little corn blinkety blink something sound. Anyway, this is going to be a Polaris Rhapsody. Upper left hand position in Teal. We're going to have Fantasy playing Terran. The bottom right position in Brown. Protoss, of course. Cal. And Polaris Rhapsody, if you're a Protoss, you thumb up and you're really happy. If you're a Terran player, if you're playing a Zerg, you're happy. If you're playing a Protoss player, you kind of go meh. And if you're a Zerg player and you're a Polaris Rhapsody, you want to stab your eyes out with a fork. Why a fork, I don't know. I just felt any utensil can be used, but I felt a fork was particularly adequate in this case. I'm not quite sure why. But yeah. Particularly excited, even though both these guys are knocked out. I'm happy for Stork to get out. I was rooting for Stork, of course. Bork Power, as we all know, of course, Bork Power. As if Nuke doesn't throw that in our faces quite enough. I was, however, extremely rooting for Cal, because, Cal is Godzilla, and, what most are you going to like? What are you going to like? A gigantic... dinosaur that breathes fire and destroys Tokyo, and God knows Hiroshima and Nagasaki wasn't enough damage to the Japanese people. Actually, though, if I remember the storyline correctly, actually, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were the things that created Godzilla, so I don't know. Matchup-wise, both these guys extremely strong. Cal gonna go there with that early probe, gas steal right away, gonna be annoying. And Fantasy's gonna go, oh, you took my gas steal, and now I have to do something drastic by not getting my factory out quite as quickly. But yeah, both these guys, for most of these players, these are their best matchups. And Cal, it kind of goes a little bit unnoticed for Cal because he was so long a anti-Zerg specialist, really just very strong against Zerg players. Really showed in his overall army control, but it's kind of also gone through into his PvT since then. And has really shown himself to be a very powerful versus Terran player. Uses Zealots extremely well, utilizes ground control extremely well. Very good with Reavers if he ever decides to go for them. And really has some of the better Zealot bombs out there, in my opinion. Seems like he's just going for standard 1 gateway. Seems like he's just going to go for OBS into Expo off of that gas steal, just kind of hoping to delay Fantasy a little bit. And we're going to see what the Fantasy actually, because of this, decides to just plant down an early Expo. He did get the scout in there and going to go and try to deny this probe. Probe actually seems like he's going to be able to put down the Expo. Yeah, with the gas steal. Just going to, no OBS into Expo. Just going to go for that much quicker expansion. Try to get that, economic advantage. Meanwhile, just now, second gas steal. Cal, you rascal. Oh, I love this guy. Second gas steal. Fantasy must be wanting to rip his own eyes out right now. I don't know why I talk so much about eye ripping, but I think it's a fantasy of mine. You know, something like that. Meanwhile now, Cal going to safely plant down his expo, get that economic advantage going. Might actually force Fantasy, just with all those extra minerals of his, might force him to plant down his own expo. We're going to see, yeah, does look like he's going to do that. It's not going to be in the best defensive positions, but he's going to be able to, at the very least, produce a lot of Marines, get a bunker at the front there. Meanwhile, 2 Zealots going to run out. If the bunker gets put up front, I don't really think Cal's going to be able to do too much with these. Just now getting a simulator going, so tech's going to be on the way. And matchup-wise, really, Cal, I think Fantasy overall in percentile, you know, if you pay attention to percentages, Fantasy 63% against Protoss, Cal is, 59 against Terran. And Fantasy's always been, he's kind of rounded himself out a lot lately, though. He's used to be, okay, I can play TVT, I can play TVP. TVZ, I have to build Valkyries, Goliaths, and go for crazy stuff to win. But since he's really kind of made himself an overall much better player, become kind of the ace of SKT1, so it's kind of cool. One thing that OSL is not gay about is that you have those numbers at the bottom end of the corner, which are all so helpful. I see the economy, I see the Psy, I see the gas, the minerals. MSL doesn't have that, and for that, the MSL is gay. So, one tournament has something that it is extremely bad about. Really bad, and the other tournament is also something that it's really bad. Second gateway up there for Cal, so he's going to start production soon. Should be getting some Dragoons. He's just working on his tech as he gets his expansion going. We're going to see how he followed this up. Cal, not really a guy I would describe as somebody that goes for something like two base arbiters. That's much more best style. Literally, best likes to go for that quick expo, and off 2 bases go for those early arbiters and play off of that. So he's really known for that, and sometimes that makes him predictable. Cal, I think someone would describe him as a somewhat predictable player, but more not in his builds, but in how he likes to play. For instance, against Zerg, he really enjoys a ground style, and even against any race, he enjoys a large ground army with some support units in the air. So generally against Terran, he goes for arbiters. He's not really a guy that often, if ever, goes for carriers. So it's something you just would not see him do. A CV gonna get denied. Some nice little running around the Pro Fantasy trying to get past that, but second Dragoon in position to blockade. 2 Dragoons and 4 Zealots out there. Seems like he's just gonna move out, working on range right now. And just is going to have to put down his robotics facility and observatory because he didn't get that probe inside through that defense at the front bunker and all that. 2 factories now out there. Tank out. Not going to have any siege, but I think that 1 tank, that bunker at the front end, that 1 single tank is going to help him enough. But we are going to see what Cal's manages to do with this. Has 1 Dragoon there at the front waiting for his additional forces. Going to try to put in some pressure. 2 SCVs going to come off the line for Fantasy. Blockade that bunker. Wish I had some popcorn. Generally this is a popcorn commentary for Nuke, but instead I have just Capri Sun multivitamin juice. And a bunch of peanuts, which I left in the living room with raisins. My God. Silly me. So yeah, a few Marines, 1 tank. SCVs are going to be able to protect, but now with these 2 additional Dragoons, we're going to see what the Cal actually tries to go for. 2 tanks there at the back to defend. We're going to see what the Cal tries to press. If he manages to break down the bunker, manages to go through, he is going to go for the Zealots at the front as well. Going to try to break down the bunker. Only 2 SCVs repairing. They're not going to stay there for very long. 3 tanks at this point. That bunker will go down, but this is going to be enough. Most of the Zealots have gone down. Only 3 Dragoons left at this point. So really all Cal has managed to do is irritate Fantasy there a little bit. Split up his Dragoons. One of them just going to get stuck in murdered, so Fantasy holds rather easily. Keeps all his tanks alive. Meanwhile, additionally, as this is happening, Cal is just going to plant down his additional gateways. Should see the observatory coming down alongside, and Fantasy seems like he's just going to expand. Building an additional factory, probably to expand towards the 9 o'clock position. Fairly easy to defend with tanks from many ground armies. But there is a pylon there already, so Cal way on top of that. Like, I know he's going to want to go for this base, so I'm going to be way on top of that, defending himself back home, meanwhile, just leaving a very small opening. More for vultures than anything else, because those things are so annoying when they're allowed free reign to get into your base, just run by everything, and it's just not a good position to be in to allow those vultures to flock around. Of course, Fantasy known to be a vulture terrorist, and he is a little bit of an open book like that, and although I really like the fact that these days he doesn't go as much vultures. He always has some vultures for the mix, in the mix, like most Terrans do. Has mines out there to blockade, go around, try to spot an open expo, do a little bit of damage, getting a scan off, gonna spot the Reaver. So yeah, this is definitely something Cal really, of the players these days, really the only Protoss that I see that really ever goes for Reavers. Bisu's done it as well. It's kind of, it's kind of old school now, really going for Reaver harass against the Terran, because Terran players have just gotten themselves so good at defending against it. Have the turrets in all the right places, have mines here, siege tanks there, and Fantasy actually going to expand towards the inside 9 o'clock position. Mineral only, this is something Terrans enjoy doing on this map, taking kind of the box, the corner, the main natural, and kind of expand towards the positions close to it. Instead of taking the entire upper side of the map, in Fantasy's case, he's kind of deciding to, hey, I'm going to take my little corner, play it safe. Yeah, Fantasy is a player as a guy I really enjoy because he's really creative in his own right, even though a lot of what he does originally was, he was kind of made famous by ILOVV, and really, when I looked at him first play, I thought, hey, he's like a nice, juicy watermelon in the desert, on a really, really hot freaking day, you know what I mean? Calmion is just going to be allowed to waltz in with his shuttle. No turrets up. Dragoon going to go down first. Reaver get in there. No Scarab coming off. The Reaver going to go down there again. Is he going to be able to get a Scarab off? No. Oh, I don't think I saw one Scarab there. But not altogether too sure. Marines are being a little bit annoying. And the tanks, however, not sieging up. Cal trying to find himself in a position. Instead of Dragoon, would have been better to have 2 Zealots in that thing. But Reaver going to get dropped down again. Not getting a single Scarab off. Unfortunately for Cal, the Fantasy really being on top of that, just not letting him drop out a single Scarab. Oh, Reaver gonna go down. The shuttle as well. So yeah, that harassment really Cal not really managing to follow up. Kind of going for additional harassment. We're going to expand to a 6 o'clock position, taking a minute only there, but really not managing to follow up his early success with the gas steal and such. And really not managing to follow it up to do some more economic harassment. I tried to go for that early aggression at the front. That just did not work out. My God, it's comfortable to have these psi levels on the bottom. It's like, I envy Nuke for this, him and his extremely homosexual on-game Nate Starleague. Vultures meanwhile going to go to the 6 o'clock position, going to spot this out. Yeah, this entire commentary is going to be basically me ranting about stuff, saying the word penis occasionally, and talking about how Nuke sucks. Except he doesn't. He doesn't really, but I gotta rap on the guy a little bit. He's getting a little bit too cocky. Ooh, I'm popular. I was on the attack of the show. Oh,